show. I hope you guys really enjoy it. All these jokes. I want to thank you all for being here tonight, and especially the Circle Cinema for letting us host this event here. We really appreciate your partnership in this. And thank you to our members who came out tonight as well. And if you're not a member, we would love to talk to you about becoming a member and find out why not. So thank you for being here. My name is Katie Shaw. I'm the director of the Woody Guthrie Center downtown. I see girls found your $5 bills on the chairs. Thank you. And I would like to introduce my counterpart at the Vaudevilles.
Thanks, Katie. I'll echo Katie's thanks for being here. You know, this is exciting for us. This is an event that's taking place to kick off an exhibition that I know some of you just viewed, and I hope all the other folks will get over to the centers. It's the first time that an exhibition has spanned both of our centers. Though we're very simpatico, and of course there's so much tie-in and connection between Woody Guthrie and Vaudeville, and as we'll discuss tonight, in part, we've never had the opportunity to have a show that made sense to showcase both centers. But because this wonderful film, A Complete Unknown, and these wonderful people who we have with us tonight, worked on a story that shows the intersection of these two titanic figures in American music and culture, we found it only fitting for Katie and I and our wonderful colleagues at the centers to work in tandem. So come in and see Stepping into the Unknown, where you'll see the work of some of our guests tonight and delve deeper into the film that you'll see. I'm guessing in some cases for the second or third time tonight. Yes, do we have repeat viewers?
How many first-time viewers do we have tonight? Wow.
Right.
Excellent.
Yes, so as you already know, this is a film that bears repeated viewings. There's so much there, and it's an exhibition that I feel bears repeated viewings too, and we're very happy to have the opportunity tonight to chat with our three guests, who I will introduce. Katie and I will serve as co-interlocutors and get to the heart of the craft and the art and the skill that went into some really important aspects of the film. We'll then take some questions from the audience to wrap up the discussion portion of the evening, and then we will screen A Complete Unknown, and we'll wish everyone the best on the Academy Awards coming up this Sunday. We have a nominee with us. Yes. So let me introduce to my right, Nikolai Baxter, the music producer on the film, whose credits include just a few films you've probably seen: La La Land, A Star Is Born, Coda, The Color Purple, Maestro, and of course A Complete Unknown. Nick, we're very happy to have you here. Thank you so much. I should mention you've won 6 Grammys. Yes. Ariane Phillips, the costume designer, and whose extraordinary work is seen in A Complete Unknown, the outfits that Chalamet wears as Dylan, all the other wonderful actors wear as their factual, in some cases fictional counterparts. And Ariane, you've been at this craft for quite some time, working on films such as a previous James Mangold film, Walk the Line, the wonderful Johnny Cash biopic, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Mr. Tarantino, and Madonna's directorial debut at WE. And you've worked with Madonna in various capacities for 2+ decades. That's a whole other story, I'm sure. Other credits include the Broadway musical Head Over Heels, the Go-Go's jukebox musical, Marty, the wonderful Nico Mulley opera production, such a varied career. Recent films include Don't Worry, Darling, beautiful costume design there, and worked with major international world-renowned fashion designers as well. Ariane, we're very happy to have you. And the latest member of the Steve Club for the Vaudeville and Woody Guthrie Center.
We're gathering Steve, so if your name is Steve, please step to the side.
Steve Gizicki, we're so happy to have you here as the 2-time Grammy-winning, 3-time Guild of Music Supervisors Award-winning, and Emmy-nominated music supervisor. And part of what we want to find out tonight is exactly what a music supervisor does. He'll have to explain for those of us who need some tips in that incredible field. Also worked on La La Land, as well as many other wonderful films. Lin-Manuel Miranda's Tick, Tick, Boom, which won top honors. Many places, just an incredible list of credits. Don't Look Up, Purple Hearts, Leave the World Behind, and Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Steve, welcome and thanks for being here. So I'll start with a first question for the three of you, and then Katie will take it away and we'll do a deep dive into the costume design side of things. But for each of you, if you could just tell us a bit about how you became involved with this project, and when you signed on, were you already Dylan and Guthrie fans and acolytes, or did this project serve as an introduction of sorts to these figures?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I just finished the movie The Color Purple and got a call from Steve and Fred Berger, our producer, who I've worked with La La Land on, that you just heard about. And, they told me about this film. I was blown away, super excited, couldn't turn it down, and it moved very quick. I was in the room the next day with Jim, our director, and I think in the studio with Timmy, honestly, like maybe a week later. So it's very, very quick. That was early 2023. Yeah, so I think March 2023. And we made a big push for about 4 months, thinking we were going to shoot in August, and then we pushed it to 2024. And then to answer the second part of your question, definitely a fan, but you realize there's a whole second tier of Dylan fans, super fans, that I could not classify myself as. That have listened to every Basement tape and, bootleg recording. So I got into that later. A fan, became a super fan throughout the project.
And then you can aspire to being a Dylanologist.
Takes a lot of work to be one of those.
Ariane, how about you? How did you get involved with the project?
Well, this is my sixth film with Jim Mangold, and in 2019, it had been a while since we worked together, and in 2019, we had schedule problems getting our schedule synced up. 2019, he called me up, he said, I think I'm gonna do a movie about Bob Dylan. You wanna join me? I'm like, are you kidding? Of course. And also I was surprised, since we've done Walk the Line, but I was curious, because that's when I learned that Johnny and Bob knew each other, so I was really excited. And he said, well, the script's not ready to read, but read the book Dylan Goes Electric, which I recommend all of you, and Bob recommends that you read it as well, by Elijah Wald, great book. And that was 2019. We were gonna shoot summer of 2020, and everyone knows what happened with COVID. And then when we came out of COVID, Timmy was doing multiple Dune movies. Jim was prepping Indiana Jones and just getting their schedules together. So we finally went into pre-production in 2023. So for me, I had a long lead time, especially during COVID, because thinking we were coming back sooner, I just dove into research even though I wasn't on payroll because I was so excited. And that leads into my answer of yes, I am a Dylan fan. I'm not a crazy Dylan fan, but I grew up with Bob Dylan music, which was in our house, and I've seen Bob play many, many times over the years as an adult. And I was born in the West Village at the time when he was starting to play in the folk scene in New York. So there's so many things that, bless you, that have a parallel to me. So yeah, and it was deeply emotional and meaningful film for me, experience prepping.
Yeah, I came to this film through Fred Berger, who was the producer of La La Land that I worked on and changed my life. This had been bubbling up for some time, and I was working on Tick, Tick, Boom in New York or something, and we were talking about it, and COVID hit, of course, and if we talk about music supervision, it's an independent contractor career. There's no health insurance. And I was offered a job at Netflix, like, yes, I'll take that. So I went in-house at Netflix for a few years, and kind of during the course of that time, Fred would keep knocking at the door, well, but the only thing might happen, I've got a job now, sir, I can't do it. And at a certain point, he decided that he was gonna move on. then I got laid off from Netflix. And the day that I got laid off from Netflix was the exact day that they decided they actually were ready to hire a music supervisor. So I lost a job at 9 a.m. and I had a job by dinner time. So that's where I started how I ended up on the film. And also a Dylan fan, also not crazy obsessive, but I've been thinking about this, and I came to Dylan through kind of a weird way. Like I was this like new wave punk kid, and I discovered Dylan through covers by like Brian Ferry and Nico, and like that was my exposure. And I discovered the songs and the songwriting, and that kind of set me on my way to Dylan eventually.
Did Dylan, prior to the film, lead the three of you back to Guthrie at all?
Well,
As
I was
listeners,
raised on Woody Guthrie, actually, like, and Pete Seeger and the Weavers, and like, I went to very, like, super boho, like, alternative schools, so that was the music I listened to as a kid, for sure. It was in our house.
It's sort of one of those, like, Woody Guthrie is one of those artists that you realize is, you know, and is there all the time, you know the material, but maybe it's just, it takes, this film almost kind of helped me figure out, oh, that was Woody Guthrie was there all the time, right? I mean, honestly, like for me, Pete Seeger, I grew up with, Pete Seeger was always there in our house, that was kind of my strongest DNA connection to the film.
Yeah, a huge part of his catalog was revealed to me in doing research for the film. We have a couple of few important Woody Guthrie moments in the movie, so just prepping for them, you realize just the extent of his work and the impact he had. Incredible.
With So Long It's Been Good to Know You, we went through, there were so many conversations, and Nick can talk about this in great detail probably. As the course, as that song evolved through Woody's lifetime, lyrics changed and new lyrics got added. And there's some lyrics in the film that didn't actually exist on an actual Woody recording. So we had to record a sound alike for those parts. And it's rather seamless, and it was those lyrics are added later to Woody's version.
Yeah, we'll give you the Easter egg before you see it, so there's
Oh,
two.
sorry, for those that haven't seen it, close your ears, no spoilers, sorry.
So Long It's Been Good to Know You dovetails the movie, and there are different lyrics at the beginning and the end. And Jim had written into the script a certain verse that he heard in the Weavers version of the song that we'd spent, I don't know how long trying to find. And Jim swore that it was in the song, we couldn't find it anywhere, eventually discovered it was only in the Weavers version, so we had to re-record it, get those lyrics in. They're really thematic and sort of important to the story, so it was important to him. And I think it's a nice little like, Easter egg. If you're a massive Woody Guthrie fan, maybe you would have noticed it, but we'll see.
Speaking of Easter eggs, I don't mean to distract from the conversation, but a special prize for anyone that finds Nick Baxter's cameo in the movie.
Excellent. This question is gonna be very, so we all know that clothes tell a story. What we pick tells a story, like today I'm in Cooper. Or some kind of wildcat. But clothes are so important to telling the story you wanna tell people. And I think that's such an interesting job that you have to pick out those things. And in your styling documented outfits, historical outfits, but were you able to have any leeway in any of the choices that were made that appeared on the actors?
Oh, for sure. I mean, one thing, having worked with Jim multiple times, Jim is, and you guys can, I'm curious on your end, he wants us to do the research, it's important to know, but he also doesn't want us to be orthodoxly, like completely dependent on it. He wants us, because we are making a film, we're truncating and there's pastiches of hearsay or real events, and ultimately we're making a narrative film. So Jim has given me that position, give me that permission and position. And Bob, from what I understand, gave Jim that permission, just unsolicited, but you know, in some of their conversations that they had. Jim has, Bob is, characteristically like, hey, my life's a fairy tale, so having that, having worked on biopics before, having that permission is everything, because you want to tell a story that's compelling. So for me, it was important to recreate real events as they were, as best as I could, based on the research. A lot of the times, the research like Newport is mostly all black and white. So figuring out color and stuff like that is where you really can create tone and mood in terms of costumes, and work with a cinematographer, or brilliant cinematographer in Papa Michael, and how things are lit. So yes, for sure. And then there are private scenes in the movie that are made up scenes based on dialogue that Jim had with Bob and stories and stuff. So being fluent in who Bob was aesthetically is important, so that I could improvise and figure out what was best for the movie we're telling.
Was there a particular look or outfit that was challenging to recreate?
To recreate? Well, I think the final outfit in the film, well, not the final performance, the Newport 65, which the film is based around, Gwen Electric performance, that was hard because there really are hardly any color photos, and hardly any photos of, there are a lot of sound check, but not of performance itself, and very limited footage. So I wanted to get it right, but yeah, it's just fun. The research is the best part.
Absolutely. His style is so iconic and influential through the years, from beginning to now. You did a lot of research and a lot of referencing his, what he wears and his wardrobe. We talked kind of about having freedom, but were there any creative liberties that you just said, you know what, I'm gonna do this?
It's hard to isolate a certain thing. I mean, there are things that I was inspired by. I think I took more liberty with the Sylvie character played by Elle Fanning, because she is pretty much our only character who is not famous, not known. I mean, she was on the cover of Freewheelin' with him, but she wasn't a public person like Pete Seeger or Joan Baez or Alan Lomax or all these incredible icons that are in this movie. So I could take a lot of liberties and try and underscore what was happening in terms of the emotions of the scenes. But yeah.
Excellent. Was there a moment on set when everyone, is in the scene and the costumes are on, and that really you felt was like, wow, this brought this to life?
I think it was Newport when we had all our background actors there. Over the course of the film, I had a big team. I had, my teams went from a core of about 20 people to 40 people, costumers, and we dressed almost 5,000 extras for the film. Over the course of the film, and half of those extras we dressed twice for different concert scenes, and then I had 120 speaking parts. And like Timothy had 67 costume changes, Joan and Pete, they all have like 20 to 25. So there was about 7,000 costumes in the movie. It took a literal village to make it happen, and we had started fittings well before shooting, and we're fitting all the way through. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but oh yeah, so when we got to Newport, and it was really important to me, so that beautiful film Murray Lerner made, a beautiful film about Newport over 64, 63, 64, and 65. And you see the cross-section of people that are there, the locals and the kind of hipsters from New York and the college kids, and just getting that, showing that audience was really thrilling for me.
Absolutely. If you could keep one costume, which one would it be?
How do you know? Disney.
I was gonna say Disney pretty much is the answer to that.
I don't know. I don't really, I have producers over the years who've given me costumes for films, so I'm awesome. And then I donated a whole bunch of costumes recently to the Academy Museum. If you're ever in Los Angeles, we have the Academy Museum. It's really great. It's new. It's only been open like 5 years. So a lot of times costumes get sold off to recoup money and that's heartbreaking for us because we worked so hard on it. So I would only keep a costume to donate it. And actually, if I have the opportunity, hopefully I'll be able to donate something wink to the Bob Dylan Center. It'll be anonymous.
My last question for you is, when we watch the film, as everyone's going to do here shortly, are there any particular scenes or moments that we should pay special attention to? Well, Easter egg, yes.
Well, I'll jump on that. Tell us about the green and white polka dot which a friend in the audience might be wearing a replica. Although Dave Ekstrom, was a good friend of ours at the Centers.
All right, it's a little bit of a story. So when I was doing the research, I noticed that our film goes to 65 and 66, Blonde album. From that point forward, Bob's style goes berserk. Like he's wearing polka dot suits and stripes, and he's gone fully adopted that mod look, having spent time in England. And I really felt that it was important. I had seen the green polka dot shirt. I didn't know it was green initially. I'd seen Bob Dylan wearing this crazy peasant polka dot shirt in sound check photos from Newport, but we weren't doing that scene. It was a sound check during the day. We're doing the night scene in our film. And then so Bob Dylan in real life wore it at sound check, and then in the performance, Al Cooper, his organist, who's a known musician in his own right, he wore it on stage. So I never knew if Bob was wearing Al's shirt or Al was wearing Bob's shirt. And I loved the shirt because it was like seeding what was coming in 66, and I thought it was really important. Because when you see Bob, in the beginning, you see a 19-year-old kid, and he's fashioned himself based on his hero, Woody Guthrie, this very kind of working man proletariat style. And over this 4-year period, which is this incredibly prolific period from 61 to 65, in 65, he starts as a solo artist, as a folk singer at a microphone alone, and you'll learn, and it's not a spoiler, but you'll learn that he's evolving as a young man. He wants to be in a band, and you see his dress changing, so that by the time he's at Newport, he is really our rock and roll archetype. Like I thought of the Rolling Stones or Mick Jagger, the Beatles as a rock and roll archetype. Bob Dylan is really clearly that rock and roll archetype that he created, our American archetype. So the polka dot shirt was important to me story-wise. Jim, our director, isn't so crazy about the shirt. He felt that it was very loud and maybe distracting. We knew Al would be wearing it, Charlie Tahan, our actor. Timothy and I really loved the shirt. And I had to have it made, printed, and gone to all the trouble. And we didn't have a place for it. So at one point where there's a scene in the film that you'll see that we're shooting, and they do rehearsals before we go. And usually the rehearsals, they do private rehearsals with the director, the actors, and the cinematographer. And then they invite the crew to watch rehearsals so we know the action of what's happening. And before the crew was invited, I got a message. I was outside the stage, we're shooting in inside location. I got a message that Timmy wanted to talk to me, and he said, I think I should wear the shirt in this scene. And that's the brilliance of working with a great actor who, it was really right for where you'll see it in the movie. It was a right moment for it, and I don't think we could ever plan that. And Jim was like, yeah, okay, let's try it, and it worked out. So I like your green shirt.
There are 6 of the costumes on display at the Bob Dylan Center. If you haven't seen them, definitely do because they're fabulous.
And the green shirt's there.
The green shirt is there, so
So Ariane, of course, you're responsible for so much of the visual, the striking visuals of the film through costumes. This, of course, is a film that relies very heavily on music and sound as well. And so, Nick and Steve, let's hear from you a bit. And I was only being slightly facetious about, tell us